There's no doubt that Dean Smith plays the long game better than anyone. And this first video that I wanted to share with you speaks to something that David Brooks talks about in How to Know a Person is our life task. And as we grow and as we evolve through life, David Brooks makes the argument that we change and we evolve and we have different life tasks. And I would like to use Dean Smith's example as a way to communicate what I call the long game. So many of our athletes begin with what is called the imperial task. It's that the only thing that exists in the world is them, and then there are things outside of them. It's really difficult to get them to see a bigger picture, whether that be your teammates' perspective or whether that's the coach's perspective. Anything outside of them is generally perceived as being distant, and they call that the imperial task. They are kings of their world. Well, thankfully, that perspective doesn't last too long. More than likely, what then happens is they evolve into what David Brooks calls the interpersonal task. That they realize that connecting with other people allows them to be more consistent in their view of the world. Friendships evolve, and an us versus them mindset begins to take shape. And unfortunately, there's greatness in relationships, but if they never evolve past this interpersonal task, we often get cliques on our teams. And when we're coaching, we know that sometimes those cliques can fracture a culture and environment. So we want to recognize that although these things exist, it's our job as a coach to try to navigate that and move them beyond that. Certainly from a coach's perspective, we would want to move beyond that. And then many of us find solace in the next phase, which they call the career task. So that is to say that we've got these friendships that help sustain us through the difficulties of life. But then we find something out there, our calling, that we're going to move towards, and it's comforting knowing that we have a purpose, and that we're gonna find that purpose, and we're gonna achieve great things. And with respect to coaching, that's of course wins and championships and getting banners hung on walls, and they're often very gratifying and fulfilling, and they call that the career task. Well, in playing the long game, David Brooks would argue that there is a task that even supersedes the career task. And I think Dean Smith is an incredible example of this, and one I'm thrilled to share. And they call that the generative task. And the generative task, basically what it says these boundaries that we set up are often arbitrary. And the people that we coach have a shelf life with us that is small and it is narrow. And if we truly want to be visionary, if we truly want to make an impact on people, we often have to see beyond these boundaries. And we have to play the long game. We have to see ourselves as ambassadors to our sport, as advocates to the whole person, not just the athlete. And this thing that we chase in our career task, eventually, as you get to a point in your development, you often begin to see that the thing that you're chasing might actually be a blind spot to other bigger things. And in the Dean Smith story, by sending Bill Guthridge to Maktar's his family in Africa to try to explore the culture, he recognized that in that moment in time, he needed to get to know the person and not the athlete. And I would argue that this is the long game. This is an incredible example of the long game, and something that we as coaches want to aspire to be.